You're listening to Agile Ideas, the podcast, hosted by Fatima Abuchi. For anyone listening out there not having a good day, please know there is help out there. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Agile Ideas. I'm Fatima, CEO at Agile Management Office, Mental Health Ambassador, and your host. This podcast is sponsored by Agile Management Office, providing high impact delivery execution in an agile era for scaling businesses. Today's podcast is a really special one because it will be the last one for 2020, but we will be back next year with a whole lot more episodes, interviews, and other exciting things. But the reason why today's episode is going to be a special one is because you may have noticed that I have not published a podcast in almost 3 weeks. Now, that's really, really unusual for me, because I not only love doing these podcasts, but I also tend to release them, was fortnightly, and then I increased that to weekly. But I've been in a bit of a fluster the last few weeks. Now, I've had a lot of interesting and exciting things happen, but with everything going on, I thought that this episode would be a really good opportunity for me to share a little bit more about how I'm feeling amongst the whole COVID pandemic, amongst the end of the year and other things, and just really be very transparent in my current thinking about things that I think would be helpful, hopefully, to someone listening today. And so I really just wanted to have an open and frank sort of shared conversation with you about these things in hope that it helps. So let's get into it. So at the moment, just like yourselves and pretty much everyone else in the whole world, we have been dealt the COVID pandemic stick, and it has been an absolute tumultuous time for many, many people. And for some people who know people that have gotten ill or have gotten ill themselves, even worse for those. And it's been really hard for a lot of people not being able to see their families, and people who have lost or losing their businesses and so forth. Now, for me personally, it's been a really interesting time. I've probably spent the last couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. I've had a couple of instances of not feeling very well, and I'm all okay though. But as a result of that, and then also just the whole overwhelming side of the fact that we are at the end of the year, and COVID has really just shook our business and shook a lot of people that we know. It's been a really, really difficult time. It's been interesting because from a personal and professional perspective, there's been a lot of positive things that have happened. But just because we have some instances of positivity, it doesn't mean that you can't have instances where you're not maybe feeling your best or being 100%. Now, I've always been really transparent and open about the fact that I do have anxiety. And that is something that I've lived with ever since I think my whole life really, but when I really became aware of it, it was in my early 20s. And it really has been rearing its ugly head a little bit more with this whole COVID situation. And also with the stress that comes from not knowing what's going to happen with, people that you love, and also with business and whatnot. So this year I've done a lot of things. I have not only been pushing the Global White Paper series that I released at the end of last year. I have done an enormous amount of webinars and a huge amount of blogs. I can't even tell you how many blogs I've done so far. We've also released I think almost 25 episodes this year, and interviewed some amazing people. Some notable ones include Shane Delia, world-renowned chef, and environmentalists like Jenny Bailey, and just so many incredible people that I've had the opportunity to speak to. and I've absolutely loved it. I always thought that I was going to do something that involved talking. My parents used to joke when I was little that I should be a horse racing commentator because I would speak so fast and so much. That didn't happen, but I still seem to do a lot of talking. Nonetheless, so I've loved that side of it. The other thing as well is in business, I've spent the whole year releasing new products and services. We recently launched Capability in a Box and we'll continue pushing that into next year. But also done a lot of events for the Project Management Office community, a lot of meetups, a lot of different content going out there. I've also had the opportunity to be part of some amazing projects, work with some great companies, and then I've also had times where in between COVID, there's been some really quiet times from a business perspective. Unfortunately, we didn't have the ability to keep all of our team together, so we did lose some resources, and that has been as a result of the whole COVID pandemic situation. We've also been forced to reduce some of the things that we're doing because we don't have the resources to do as much more. And personally, I've also been thinking about what it is that I'm going to be looking to focus on into 2021. Now, it's been a really, really interesting journey. When I think back to my really early days, I basically started with no experience and really nothing more than a desire to do something with life that involves not only learning as I go, supplementing the hurdle of not having a formal business education through hands-on experience, but then also being at the mercy of endless, disjointed and inefficient processes that, I constantly was experiencing when working in a number of corporate organizations. So it was, with that I really thought there's a better way of doing things and have been trying to introduce that working with Agile Management Office. One of the things that I have mentioned previously is my passion for the mental health space. And I have been thinking about how I can be more involved in that space moving forward as well, and thinking about how can I take my experiences there and share them far and wider with more people. I've also been thinking about the really positive successes with the awards won this year around PMO Influencer of the Year and the Project of the Year, and how can I take the learnings and lessons of those and sharing them with you and giving you an opportunity to take some of those ideas and principles and put them into practice yourself. There's so many different parts of the journey that I've been thinking about. One of the other reflections I recently wrote an article about how absolutely exhaustingly challenging it is to really, go against the corporate consulting titans. As a small business, we are really at the mercy of the hiring managers as to whether they want to take an opportunity to work with a small business that is more likely to be more flexible, more entrepreneurial, more agile, and more nimble than the bigger consulting companies. It's about taking the opportunity to work with passionate business owners like myself and many others around the world who live and breathe their business. I've also had an opportunity to reflect and think about all the number of hours that I work. Running a business is not easy, and doing so has meant that I have been working a significant amount of times, weekends included. Your every second thought is about business, and it's something that does consume you. And so, bringing all of these bits and pieces together, it's about, well, how can I make sure that my focus areas for the new year are going to be best reflecting what it is that I want to do? So one of those things is making sure that I am taking a break. Now, if you have not already scheduled some time Now, when I say take a break, I'm talking about close your computer and not do anything. If you want to sit down and binge watch Netflix all day, if you want to go and sit outside in the sun, or just want to stuff your face with pies and donuts, just do it. It's about taking the opportunity to actually stop and refresh and reflect. And that will be one of the things that I will be doing come next week. And so it's important for us to take the opportunity to have that moment, because one of the things I can tell you from a mental health perspective is not only is it really important to talk to other people, and it doesn't have to be anyone, but it can be, but finding the persons that you feel most comfortable talking to, but also taking time to recharge and to improve your clarity, improve your thinking. Make sure you're working on the things that make you happy and the things that are going to bring you the most satisfaction. So taking the time to refresh and reflect is one of the first things that I would recommend. The second thing that I'm doing is I am going to be doing a review of all of the things that I've wanted to do that I've not been able to achieve this year, or not been able to even attempt this year, that has been restricted as a result of either my schedule or even the fact that the COVID pandemic hit. So for example, one of the second things that I'm going to be looking to do is learn to swim. Now, for those who know me, you may recall me mentioning this before, but earlier in secondary school, I actually nearly drowned, and since then have still not been able to swim despite many, many, many efforts. So I was listening to a Tim Ferriss podcast a little while ago, and he was talking about a really phenomenal book that he came across, and I'll see if I can look the book up as we talk. Actually finding out about a book that actually helped him. So he'd learnt to swim from a book, and that was one of the things that was really interesting. That there is actually a book and a DVD that actually teaches you the correct way to swim, and it was written by someone who's unfortunately passed away now, but it was absolutely amazing to hear about it. So I'm happy to share it. I can put it in the show notes, or I can also reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to know what that is. But that's one of the things that I kind of was about to do, and then we weren't able to use the swimming pools because they were all locked down, because in Melbourne we had one of the strictest lockdowns in the world. So that was one of the other things. One of the third thing I'm thinking as well is I want to take some time to finish some of my additional capability uplift training and learning and different skills and things that I want to further enhance. And so I've got a list of those that I would like to focus on, and I'm going to be making time to do those as well. So it's a really good time, in reflection, to think about what are the sort of gaps in your learning or your knowledge. We've all got opportunities to learn, and we've all got things that we still need to learn because we don't know everything. There's a lot of things we don't know. And so I will be focusing on looking at sort of educational things that I want to be doing as well, moving forward. Another thing that I will be doing is something, again, that comes from the very well successful, very well-rounded individual, Mr. Tim Ferriss. And he says undertake a past year review. So you can look on his blog and read more about it, but fundamentally it's taking the time to look back at the whole year and highlighting all the things you enjoyed and all the things you didn't enjoy, and then making sure that you put more of the things you enjoy into the year moving forward. And to coincide with that, something I learned from successful entrepreneur Steve Glaveski was around looking at everything that you have been doing and start thinking about the things you should stop, do more, and do less of. There is a lot of things I've done that maybe didn't enjoy as much as I thought I would. And there's things that I haven't done that I know I would absolutely love to do. So taking the time to actually reflect on that and do that is really a good opportunity in this coming downtime. So they're probably the key ones I'm thinking. As part of moving forward into 2021, I will have the time to hopefully reflect and reset on everything personally, professionally, and in business. And that may bring some new and exciting things, and that may dust off some old things that I haven't progressed, and may potentially create new opportunities as well. But if we don't take the time to reflect and reset and really think about what it is that we want to do, then we're not going to be able to achieve what's going to make us happy. I will do that by focusing on a few things I learned about recently, and that is a book called What Color is Your Parachute? Now, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you get a copy of it, but also there's a workbook companion to it. So it's called What Color is Your Parachute? And what it is about is actually about helping you. Now, whether you're in business, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are not even working at the moment, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or dad. Now, this book is really an opportunity to help anyone who's looking at career and jobs and all of that sort of stuff, and think about what it is that you are best suited for. What are the things that are going to make you happy? So there's a book called What Color is Your Parachute by Richard N. Bowles, that's Bolles, and there's also a Job Hunters Workbook Companion. And if you bring those two together, it will actually help guide you and give you some clarity. It's really, really interesting, but sometimes I think you need that external input or insight, and this is probably one of the world's leading when it comes to job hunting, job seeking. Now, I run a business, but it's still going to help serve me with the things that we do in the business moving forward. So that would be one of the other things I would recommend. And then finally, probably the most important is taking the time to really, really focus on your mental health. And that is so critical, especially when you think about everything that is going on in the whole world with COVID-19. We need to be thinking about the fact that although the pandemic has caused a lot of problems and added stress, it also gives us an opportunity to rethink, regroup, and rebuild our future. We know where we are going most of the time and what we need to do to get there, and taking some time to reflect and reset over the Christmas New Year period will probably help you to be better equipped for 2021. So that has pretty much been me for this year. It has been a really stressful time. As I mentioned, when thinking about doing my next episode in the last 2-3 weeks, I really wasn't sure what to share. There was so many positive things that happened, but I just didn't feel comfortable just sharing positive things when everybody is going through their own challenges. But then I thought about it and thought, let me share both the positives in the Project of the Year episode as well as some of the negatives. And it hasn't been without its challenges, but there's been a really good opportunity to think clearer about everything that is going on around you and making sure that you take the time to focus on the things that make you happy. Now, this will be our last episode for 2020, but we will be back in late January with more episodes, interviews, and hopefully more insights. We'll also be looking to release some new products and services, and I hope that what we bring to the market next year will be filled with some absolute innovation and joy and insight, and absolutely help you in your professional journey moving forward. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have enjoyed any of our episodes. If you have, please leave us a review or just like it or share it. Anything like that absolutely helps. It's something that is a passion project of mine. I don't get paid to do this, but I love to do it, and I love to share insights and inspiration with you in any way that I can. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful end of year. Now, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, season's greetings to you. I hope you have a safe new year and wish you nothing but the very best for you and your family. And I look forward to a big 2021 together. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We welcome any feedback. Please let us know by going to www.agilemanagementoffice.com/Agile Ideas. You can also find us on most social media channels by searching Agile Ideas, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you for listening. Please share or rate this if you enjoyed it. I hope you've been able to learn, feel, think, or be inspired today. Until next time, what's your Agile idea?